Agaya and Ubuntu, welcome. So we're going to be offering some of about today's news, tell you about upcoming global events of interest to all of those who have an inclination toward eco-spirituality, we will say, however that is expressed for you. We will include in that some actions that you can take to make a difference in the world, because these two are important to keep together. And that is really the mission of Novasutras, is to bring eco-spiritual practice and activism on behalf of a thriving earth into stronger union. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll do a meditation together based on those themes. And then depending on what happens, we'll talk about local events and respond to anything that's coming up in the chat. So just a reminder of the Novasutras mission. We are enacting change through eco-spiritual community. We take the time to reawaken our deepest connection to the living world so we can reclaim our joy, so we can honor our pain, so we can grow trusted relationships. And so we have the strength and resilience to take meaningful action in service to all life. So these are the things that motivate us in Novasutras and that help to shape what we are offering in these live events. And yeah, live, you can tell because, wow, a little bit disorganized, but bear with us. I'm still learning, and I could definitely use help and support. So one of the calls to action that I will offer a few times during this is join up with us as a Novasutras uplifter, especially if you want to participate in helping to make these run a little bit more smoothly. Also, of course, I'd love it if you would connect in the chat if you're watching live, or in the comments if you're watching the recording, and share where you are. Where I'm coming to you from is Santa Clara, California. Santa Clara is unceded land taken from the Tamian and Muwekma Ohlone peoples. So deep gratitude for the care that was taken of this place for millennia, that produced one of the most ecologically rich and abundant and beautiful places on earth. Santa Clara is in the news today. You may have heard that Beyonce is our honorary mayor. She's going to be performing here tonight. So in handing over the key to the city to Beyonce, the city explained this was in recognition not only for her prestige as a performer, but also for her humanitarian and social justice work and the many themes of empowerment that are the basis of so many of Beyonce's well-known songs. So I'm coming to you from Beyonce land, whatever that means to you. So let's talk a little bit about upcoming events, and then we'll dive into some responses to today's news. And let me get that queued up for us. Yeah, nothing ever goes smooth, but we're trying. Here we go. Sharing screen once again. And And again, you can go to novasutras.org/events at any time to get a look at what's coming up. The listings here on the left and center tend to be things that are specifically tied to Novasutras or very closely allied groups. But then we also list some other events that may be of interest to the Ecospiritual community in our calendar. And you can actually subscribe to our Google Calendar through the novasutras.org/events page. So right now we're doing this, and later on, right at the moment of the full moon, which Pacific time is going to be 6:15 p.m., I'll be offering a global synchronous meditation in celebration of the full moon and the way that the whole earth is illuminated at that moment of the full moon. So I encourage you to check that out. That's going to be on Insight Timer. So if you go to the website and follow the link, you can watch it through the Insight Timer website. If you're on a computer or a laptop, if you're on a mobile device, you'll need to go into Insight Timer and look for my name, Michelle Merrill, or look for the title of the event, Earth Thriving in the Full Moon, amongst the live events that are happening. Then coming up tomorrow morning is an event on our allied organization, the Deep Transformation Network. Not really an organization, it's just a loose network anyway. Evolving and self-organizing. And part of that is this co-creation of practices space that happens every other Thursday. Then on Friday, first of the month, we have our group meditation on the Novasutras group on Insight Timer. So if you're using Insight Timer, there are features for more social interaction called groups or circles, depending on when you joined it. And in that, we are able to listen to a recording together at the same time. So get that benefit of that synchronous meditation and chat with one another. So please join our group and check that out 2 days from now. September 4th, the People versus Fossil Fuels group is doing their organizing meetings, I believe. I haven't double checked on those. September 5th, Deep Transformation has this wonderful practice called listening space. I've got it listed twice and I'm not sure why, but anyway, that is, I think, pretty confidently happening. And then the first Tuesday of every month is the monthly live network meeting on the Deep Transformation Network. So I encourage you to check that out. This one will be focusing on what's going on in the Deep Transformation Network, what the intentions of the network are, how the network sees itself based on some research that we've done, a poll of the membership, and where we might be developing the network further. September 7th, there will be a follow-up to that in this monthly circle of practice that happens the Thursday after the live network meetings. September 11th, I will be offering meditation based on themes of the waning moon, though you can see that the actual quarter moon is September 6th. I'm going to be not available. This one on September 6th is an event that's happening in Santa Cruz. September 10th, the Earthholder Sangha has their gathering. And then, as mentioned, September 11th, I'll be offering waning moon meditation. People versus Fossil Fuels have their organizing meeting. And there is another co-creation of deep practice space on Deep Transformation Network. On September 13th, we do a meditation together for regeneration via Zoom, and you can also find that through the Deep Transformation Network. So this is a chance to do both meditation together and some time for conversation and community building. Thursday, September 14th, the Unitarian Universalist Ministry for the Earth is offering a meditation session. There's the Thursday co-creation of practice spaces on Deep Transformation Network. And I will be offering a meditation as we move into the dark of the moon, with the moment of the dark of the moon being a little bit later. Friday, September 15th will be World Cleanup Day, and middle of the month, so our mid-month reconnection meditation. And probably sometime around between the 13th and the 15th, I will also offer another live stream here on YouTube, but I haven't scheduled that one out yet. Do want to highlight that coming up September 17th is the beginning of Climate Action Week. And if you're in California, there will be a big action in Sacramento. I'm going to be participating in that. There's also, if you're in New York, a big action in New York. Then, important to Novasutras, September 22nd, we'll be doing our equinox celebration. And I believe I've already got that scheduled. Let me check it. And got more details about that. Yes, so that's going to be on Inside Timer, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. So about this timing when this live stream is happening on Friday, September 22nd. So you can check that out and sign up to be reminded on Inside Timer. So those are our, one other bit of upcoming events I want to talk about. And that kind of will lead us into more news. And that is the global wave of climate action. Yeah, you can see there's a video associated with this. They're going to be doing hunger strikes. What Novasutras is going to do as part of this will be offering a series of global synchronous meditations. We haven't scheduled those yet, but we've just signed on to be part of this global wave of climate action that begins November 1st and will continue through the end of the COP28 in Dubai, this conference of parties to discuss global responses to climate change, organized by the United Nations. And, we know from previous COP events that these are not always successful in doing the work that really needs to be done. So this year we are amplifying the call to action, getting people's voices all around the world, and with these hunger strikes, really accenting the urgency of responding. So I hope that you will participate in actions as part of this global wave of climate actions, whether you choose to go on a one-day fast or otherwise participate in the hunger strike, participating in our global synchronous meditations. This is all part of what is important to Novasutras, which is bringing spirituality and dedication to action for a thriving future for all Earth beings. You can read more about our commitment to that, in particular in these two blog posts, one that was published May of last year, just after I was arrested in San Francisco as part of a climate action, and one that was published in May of this year, where I had given little bit more of an academic talk about the importance of eco-spirituality and sacred activism. So again, I encourage you to check that out and learn more about it. So, news of the week is, as often is the case, pretty intense. In fact, right now, as I'm speaking, Hurricane Idalia's storm surge is probably peaking right now on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and they are expecting incredible amounts of property damage and potentially some significant loss of human life from those who didn't evacuate. And of course, what this means in terms of local wildlife, where salt water is coming up onto land, can be devastating and will take a long time to recover from. As Eric Holthaus, climate scientist, has highlighted again and again, climate change is making hurricanes worse. As he puts it, sea level is rising, making storm surges worse. Ocean temperatures are rising, making rapid intensification of hurricanes more likely. And the air is warmer, which means it can hold more water vapor and it's going to rain harder. And depending on where people are in Florida and on up through Georgia and the Carolinas, they are going to be experiencing intense high winds, really intense rainfall, and again, along the Gulf Coast, this devastating storm surge and flooding associated with both the rainfall and the storm surge. So we are sending our hopes and prayers that those in the path of the storm make it through safely, that the habitats recover quickly, and also that when we rebuild with wisdom and with justice, that we rebuild in ways that make sense in a world of increasing climate destabilization, that we rebuild in ways that protect those that are most vulnerable and actually potentially improve the lives of those who have suffered most under capitalist systems. So holding in our hearts that Idalia harms the least and opens the path for renewal and positive change. In better news, you may have heard the August 20th vote that we talked about on our last live stream. This was a vote in Ecuador to protect an area called Yasuni from oil exploitation and to preserve indigenous rights there. And that vote was a yes vote to protect Yasuni. So Ecuador is signed on to prevent oil exploitation and preserve indigenous rights and preserve the habitat in Yasuni. So we can celebrate that as a victory for the whole world, and especially for the indigenous people there in Ecuador. So congratulations, and thanks for all your efforts to make that happen. In a similar vein, I wanted to share news of a smaller endeavor that's, a fairly close personal connection for me, and that is what's called Project Roxcan in Guatemala. It's led by a Mayan woman who was a pen pal of my friend Barbara Riverwoman during her childhood. Project Roxcan is a nature reserve and agroecological center that is including a plant nursery for reforestation and for growing traditional medicinal plants and promoting a pollinator garden. And part of their mission is education of locals, especially school children, in agroecology, in methods of growing needed food in the forest in ways that regenerate rather than harming this beautiful rainforest space. So I want to share some of those pictures with you. And I'm going to get that queued up here. And here we go. So these are pictures of Project Roxcan as they were building protective walls for their nursery and pollinator garden. Setting that up to maximize benefits to wildlife. And let me see if I can reorganize these images a little bit better so you can see some of what's coming out of that. Some of these beautiful forest scenes. And then here's some of the scenes of students on the land there, learning about how to take care of the land. So again, this is an agroecological center in Guatemala, a place that has seen tremendous struggle and human rights abuses, and continues to be a dangerous place to work. And yet these brave individuals know that educating the rising generations in how to take care of the land in ways that benefit the land itself, in addition to providing a livelihood for the people who live there. So important and so beautiful to see the work that they're doing. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. If you want to find out more about that, please get in touch with me, as we are just working out ways that those of us, in places of more privilege in the global north, like the US, might be supportive of these indigenous-led, woman-led initiatives like Project Roxcan. So I hope that you'll consider that. Oh, and I wanted to share some translated quotes from some of the children who participated in these visits to Roxcan. One said, carrying out activities outside the four-walled classroom to which we're accustomed allows us to learn better, since we can learn to live directly with nature, with the trees, and with our own classmates. Being very close to nature even changes our mood. And this is something that we practice a lot in Novasutras with a practice called Shinrin-yoku. Another student says, today we learn that trees fulfill an important function not only for our environment, but also for our own lives. Another said, just thinking that trees provide us with oxygen makes me more aware of the importance of conservation. Another of the students who visited Roxcan said, the greatest lesson that I take home with me today is that if one day I need to cut down a tree, I must plant 10 more. I did not know that this is a principle practiced since time immemorial by our grandfathers and grandmothers in the Mayan worldview. So this is about helping children to reclaim their culture and their cultural traditions of care for the land. Again, contact me if you want to get more updates or get involved in supporting this project. Another Novasutras project that you can support that I talked about last time is we have this target of trying to, we were encouraging people to support Bukit Tigapulu, which is a habitat for orangutans on Sumatra. And we offered that if we're getting new Patreon pledges for monthly support to Novasutras during this month of August 2023, every increment of $14, we will commit to protecting another, paying in to protect another hectare of land at Bukit Tigapulu. We actually got $29 in increased pledges in Patreon so far, which means we're saving 2 more hectares of Bukit Tigapulu. And for your first, as we talked about, offering some actions that you can do. Well, if Novasutras can get, so we got 29, so we got 2 increments to protect 2 hectares plus $1. So we need pledges adding up to $13 more on Patreon in the next 36 hours before the end of the month. And then we can get 1 more hectare in Bukit Tigapulu supported. So if you've been considering supporting Novasutras on Patreon, now is the time. Please do that now. If you haven't been considering it, but you're starting to consider it now, do it today so that we can get those $13 extra. Even if you can just support us with $1 extra a month, $2, $5, $10. Hopefully we can get a few new supporters, and that will push us over into getting 1 more hectare in Bukit Tigapulu supported by Novasutras. As ever, I realize not everyone is in a position to commit to donating every month. If you can't do $1 every month, but you want to offer support to Novasutras, you can always do that through our PayPal. You can find that link at the bottom of the page if you go to novasutras.org. But if you are not able to contribute financially and want to support Novasutras work, the best thing to do is to tell people about it. And that can include liking and subscribing, and most importantly, sharing these videos on YouTube. You can use the YouTube tools to share them on your social media. You can go to Novasutras social media accounts. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Mastodon, and the site formerly known as Twitter. So if you're using any of those, feel free to find us there, follow us there, and of course, share it with your friends on social media so that we can grow our movement for eco-spirituality and eco-activism. But in addition to supporting Novasutras, I wanted to point out a really great website that offers lots of possible online activism where you can just sign petitions, and that is rewild.org. Their website looks like this. And if you go to their Act Now, you can find multiple things to sign on to protect habitat and Indigenous people, and to prevent destruction. So check out rewild.org/act-now to go straight there. And I will put that link and all of the other links that I talk about in the description of this video after the video after the live stream ends. So look for those. All right. I have to find my way back to where we are now in my notes. Here we go. I do have a couple more location-specific actions. There's one for Irish nationals or residents, a petition to buy a large tract of land in Ireland and make it into a national park, creating areas that allow natural systems to recover. That's the Buy Connor Pass petition. So I will put that link in the description. And as I mentioned, there are actions coming up September 17th. I will put the link for if you can get to New York City, where there will be a big action on September 17th, or if you're on the West Coast and can come out, or if you're a California resident and can come out to Sacramento, we'll be doing something specifically targeting Governor Gavin Newsom in Sacramento on September 17th. So hope to see you at that action if you're in California. Also a reminder, if you have news, calendar items, or actions that you want to share, add that in the chat or the comments below, and you might see your news, your calendar items, your suggested actions in our next live stream. And yeah, once again, do like, subscribe, share, hit that bell so that you get notifications of when we scheduled our next live stream. So I hope you can check that out. So next up, I wanted to talk a little bit more about philosophy and practice and sacred activism in Novasutras. So part of the originating impulse for Novasutras, part of why why I set up the website and try to encourage this movement to grow in the first place, comes from this quote by Van Jones. He said, "It's in that convergence of spiritual people becoming active and active people becoming spiritual that the hope of humanity now rests." So as I was developing the ideas for Novasutras, this image came to me of being kind of on a bridge, helping meditators and contemplative people move across and into more engaged action on behalf of all life, while at the same time helping activists find their spirituality that could support their activism, find practice that can support their wellness and resilience, find the kind of community that will help strengthen their resolve in the face of so much challenge and so much loss. So many different groups in trying to help support activists have said that connecting it with your faith and with your faith community is very important. But as someone who didn't grow up in any kind of spiritual or faith community, it's been hard for me to find something that resonates, to find something that decenters the human experience and opens up and acknowledges the importance of all of life on earth. So also coming from a science background, spending a lot of time rubbing elbows with people who were kind of active atheists because of their scientific training, it was very important to me that I find a place where spirituality wasn't asking me to give up my reason, to give up my scientific understandings of the world. And I felt that one of the best ways to do that was to simply create a new space where science and spirituality would be honored in a balanced way, in a way that opens maximum possibility, inquiry, and curiosity about the world. So that is a lot of what Novasutras is about and has to offer. But I also have been engaged in action on behalf of life for a long time. And I consider that work some of the most spiritually important actions of my entire life. As Robin Wall Kimmerer explained in Braiding Sweetgrass, action on behalf of life transforms. Because the relationship between self and the world is reciprocal, it is not a question of first getting enlightened or saved and then acting. As we work to heal the earth heals us. So again, I've written about that a little bit in the Novasutras blog, especially for some reason in May of 2022, Rising Up in Sacred Activism, and May this year about Ecospiritual Community to Empower Sacred Activism. So I encourage you to check those out to learn a little bit more about how Agaya and Ubuntu are expressed in this. And we are coming up on closing time. So I believe what I'd like to do now is to start to move us into meditation. So part of the practices that we recommend in Novasutras, one of those is meditation. And whether you are new to meditation or a regular meditation practitioner, there's something very powerful about practicing together, about practicing in community. That is why, as part of our action for the global wave of climate actions, Novasutras will be hosting global synchronous meditations. And that's part of what we will tap into today, part of why I encourage people to join on Insight Timer or via Zoom when we do these meditations together in community, as a way to really feel that resonance with other meditators. We are social primates. This was an important part of my PhD work, was understanding how we evolved as social learners. And part of that is the importance of being in community, of feeling those social connections. And when it comes to our meditation practice, that not only provides a kind of accountability that helps us deepen our practice when we know we are doing it with other people, but it provides its own healing and reinforcement. that we are a stronger community. And there's some research, it's like somehow it works in practice, even though we can't really explain it well in theory. But there is some research that shows that when meditators are concentrating together, they can influence the levels of, they can reduce violence in the world. And this was done with groups doing transcendental meditation, focusing on peace and calming violence in specific places. And statistically, there seemed to be a very strong association of those times when the meditators were focusing on that as times that that violence was at least diminished or less likely. There's so much about the world that we don't understand. And part of good science is acknowledging that we're going to keep learning, and that even the things that we can't explain right now are worth investigating and worth documenting, so that we can generate better hypotheses that that better reflect what is actually happening in the world, even if it doesn't match our current view of how the world works. So, to guide us into some meditation together, inviting you to begin to deepen your breath. Just take one nice deep inhale and let it out with a little bit of a sigh. Maybe do that again. And then just let your breathing settle into its own rhythm, allowing the breath to guide you. So you might soften your gaze or close your eyes. And let your body drop down so that you're relaxed and supported, whether you're sitting or lying down, or even standing or walking. Be at ease. Allow the earth beneath you to take your weight, to hold you up, to provide support and stability. And if you're sitting or lying down, allow yourself to feel as if you are being cradled by the earth. No matter where you are, that you are welcomed to that specific place right now. How would your breath and your body feel if you are being welcomed as a beloved child of Earth? If you are being welcomed as one who can create positive change. What if the earth is offering you encouragement and her vast strength in the ways that you show up in the world. If the earth is thanking you, but also supporting and helping you when you do any act of kindness and compassion, something as simple as bringing a smile to the face of another, something as simple as signing your name to be part of some call to action to change the world for the better. Something as simple as offering your time and dedication to be of service in the world. Perhaps you are called to step up your engagement just a little bit more. Not going beyond your capacity, but perhaps opening up, pushing that edge into a little bit uncomfortable space for you. You don't have to take a huge risk. You don't have to step way outside your comfort zone. But just test where that edge is, where you start to feel a little nervous or uncomfortable, a little stretched far. And just see if you can breathe into that stretch. Just as in yoga or sports, when you're stretching, you find that point of discomfort. You stay right there at that edge, seeing if you can find some ease and some increased openness the next time you try. Breathing into that stretch for you. Feeling that tension, but seeing if it can open just a little. You feel that opening, maybe as relaxing in your belly. Maybe as an opening in your chest, allowing deeper breath. Maybe as an opening and lifting of your heart. Be as an opening of your mind to new possibility. Approaching those edges of discomfort with curiosity and with compassion for yourself. It's okay that things make you uncomfortable. It's okay if there's a little anxiety or fear around those edges. It's probably there for a reason. Maybe you can be curious and invite that anxiety, that fear, that uncomfortableness to tell you what it wants to tell you. What is your message? What are you offering? Maybe it's something important, or maybe it's something that just by listening in can be released, allowing you to lean further in to that growing edge where there's always a little discomfort. You don't need to push. In fact, it's better to just rest there, to feel that stretch, to know that you are at the edge of your comfort, and to trust that as you spend a little time at the edge of your comfort, those edges will expand. Your range of motion and possibility will grow. And you hold that sense, that potential for growth inside you, in your heart center. Can you feel that potential for growth all the way up to the crown of your head, opening yourself to curiosity, to learning and changing? And can you feel that potential and energy for growth and change moving down your shoulders and arms and out to your hands, that you might create beauty, offer care, and do good works in the world? And can you feel that potential for growth and change reaching down through your torso, through your legs, down to the soles of your feet? That you might find your way to the places where your gifts are most welcomed and where the challenge for you is just right. And feeling that potential for growth, that potential for finding the challenges that are just right. Start to bring a little motion into your toes, and into your fingers, into your feet and hands, your ankles and wrists, your arms and legs, your hips, your shoulders, your spine, neck, bringing your focus up into your head. And very gently, let your gaze wander around the space that you're in as if seeing it and its beauty for the first time. Maybe your gaze will alight on something particularly beautiful. Just welcome in that beauty as a reminder of the ways that the earth welcomes you being here to do the work you are called to do. Thank you for being part of our meditation today. Thank you for joining in with the Novasutras movement to unite eco-spirituality and eco-activism. As we work to heal the earth heals us. So again, inviting you to check out the Novasutras website. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can join our group on the Deep Transformation Network. Learn more about us through our blog articles and web pages. Learn about our events and find some guided meditation recordings accessible there. Also accessible on Insight Timer, where you can look for Novasutras or look for me, Michelle Merrill. You can also find Novasutras on all of these social media. Please follow us there. And again, here on YouTube, give us that like, subscribe, and please share this through social media, through YouTube, letting others know about Novasutras. So thank you for taking part in our experiment with the live stream here. Thank you for all of the good work that you do in the world. And we will see you here again live on YouTube in a couple of weeks and at our upcoming events in the meantime. I will put links to all the various things that I talked about in the YouTube description over the next 10 minutes or so. So if you're watching the recording, hopefully that will be there by the time you get to the end of the recording. Thank you all so much. Wishing Ubuntu and Agaya to you in all the work that you do in the world.